Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Is my camera light?
Can't see you, Chris.
You can't?
I can't. No.
I
Doesn't
cannot
matter.
either.
Doesn't matter. You can hear us, right?
Correct.
All right. That's all you need.
So it won't let us, it won't,
He ain't much to look at anyway.
Okay, the meeting is now live.
meeting's live, okay. Well, who do we have first of all, so make sure we have a quorum? I see Austin. I heard Pete Cosby. Newt's next to
Yeah.
me and I'm Danny. So we have anybody else on the commission?
Yeah,
Matt?
Matt's here.
Matt,
Yep, I'm here.
how about Miss Purnell? And what's his name? Ron Cassio?
Oh, well, let's see, Ron.
What else I'm missing? All right, how about our alternate? What's his name, Dave? For you.
You're the chairman. You're supposed to know this stuff.
DJ Lockwood.
Yes. No. Okay. Well, we have a quorum with 5, I believe. Is that right?
You do. You do. 5 of
Dave.
7.
I'm sorry.
You have 5 of 7. You have a
Okay. Well,
quorum.
let's go ahead. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Okay. We call the meeting to order. Planning Commission meeting for January 12th, 2022. Can I get an adoption for tonight's agenda from anyone, please? Got a second?
Second.
Second.
Austin, you second?
Yes.
Okay. Approval of the minutes from December 8th, 2021. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve?
What you do, Bruce?
So Newt made the motion to approve. That second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All good.
Oh, there's the Matthew there.
Okay, there he is. Okay, item number 4, text amendment, amending sections 108-5, 108-163, and 108-518 of the Town of Berlin Code of Ordinances. Dave, would you like to give us an overview first and then let the applicant speak?
Yeah, this is it's actually a continuation of our December 8th, 2021 meeting. The applicant and his representative could not be present, but the meeting had been advertised. This is a public hearing, so you'll have to gavel it in for a recommendation of the Planning Commission to the mayor and council to change those sections of the zoning chapter 108 to allow for the construction of crematoriums in the light industrial zoning district as a conditional use. So it wouldn't be a use by right every time. Each individual use would be, you need to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals and be granted a conditional use. And at that point, they would review the impact on adjoining properties or neighbors or the town in general for the impacts, negative or positive, for a crematorium. And the applicant is, well-known, Mr. Burbidge from the Burbidge Funeral Home, well-known, businessman in town with an established funeral home. And I believe that he cannot be present tonight, so Mr. Todd is going to represent him for the request for the text amendment.
That's correct. Mr. Burbidge is recovering from COVID-19 and is unable to be here. I am Joel Todd with Joel Todd, Attorney at Law LLC, on behalf of Mr. Burbidge. I have provided.
Okay,
previous-
let me open up a. Hello?
Yes, I'm here. You started talking and then I lost everything. But you're back.
Let me go ahead and open up let me open up the public hearing, then you can begin your presentation, okay?
Very
Go
well,
ahead and
thank you.
proceed, Mr. Todd.
Thank you. We are requesting that the code be amended as I have presented in writing ahead of time, section 108-5 definitions, with the crematorium being defined as stated in the paperwork I filed. Section 108-163, conditional uses, variances, and special exceptions, which will create a new subsection C to replace the old subsection C as stated in that. And then the old subsection C would move down to be subsection D. And then finally, in section 108-518, conditional uses, there will be a new section or subsection 4 to that. Do you need me to read through the language there? I'm assuming that the board all has a copy of that paperwork already.
Need to read it into the record, or?
Section 108-5, we're requesting that crematorium be defined as a building containing furnace or furnaces for cremating dead human bodies. Section 108-163, conditional uses, variances, and special exceptions. We're proposing a new subsection C as follows: within any M1 light industrial district, a crematorium as defined in section 108-5, and then the old subsection C will become the new subsection D. And then we're proposing section 108-518, conditional uses, be amended to include a new subsection 4, which will state as follows: in any M1 light industrial district, a crematorium as defined in section 108-5. I think that covers all the items that we would need in order to be able to build a crematorium or to have a crematorium authorized as a conditional use under the town code. I think it was probably just an oversight that wasn't included when the zoning code was drafted originally. But my client is currently owns the oldest funeral home, family-owned funeral home in the state of Maryland. His business has changed dramatically over the years, and at this point, more than 70% of the funerals that he handles involve cremations, whereas when he first started out, it wasn't nearly that high. It was a minority of the cases that he had, as opposed to an overwhelming majority that he has now as cremations. He wants to be able to keep the cremation business in the town of Berlin. He was born and raised here. He thinks highly of this town, and he would rather keep the business here. He's got a piece of property. If you see on the screen there I don't know if you all have seen it or not, on Exhibit 1.
Yes, we all have.
Okay, Exhibit 1 is a photograph of his property from the east end, from the 113 end of his property. Exhibit 2 is from the 818 side on the left end, and Exhibit 3 is on the 818 side of his property, but on the right side. It's very rural there. The land across the street is completely rural. It's in alternates between corn and soybeans from year to year. And the closest property to him that's occupied would be the church that's on the right. If you're standing in front of his property looking, it's on the right side, or the west side of his property. That Sunrise Church that faces Route 818 and Route 50. So we think it's an ideal location there. And there's also an exhibit there, one that details how the cremation process works. And I think it's important to point out on that exhibit that it talks about how thoroughly the remains are burnt. There's a holding chamber within the furnaces so that no odors are emitted. It's completely clean. It's as perfectly clean as is humanly possible. There's around the nation and even locally, as close as Salisbury, you'll find a cremation center that's in a lot more of a suburban or metropolitan area than the piece of property that Mr. Burbidge is planning on building his on. I do not think that this would be a problem to any surrounding properties or to the community at large. And we would request that this be that this text amendment be permitted. We recognize that before he starts building something, we'll have to file for an actual conditional use, because this is just the language to authorize it, and we'll have to go through the appropriate process to get it built at that time. But we have to start off with getting this language changed so that it can be an authorized use if we establish the appropriate circumstances when we make the application. I'll be happy to answer any questions any of the board members may have or the public at large.
Dave, I have a quick question. Chris Denny, is the way it's written, is that the way it's going to be proposed to the mayor and council?
Yes.
Okay, that's good with the town then?
Well, the mayor and council now will take your recommendation at a future public hearing of the mayor and council to vote on whether to change the town code with this text amendment. So there's another public hearing to come
Okay,
of the mayor and council.
is there any,
Pete Cosby,
anybody from the
Pete
public?
Cosby talking. I have a couple of things I'd like to say. Number one, I have a potential conflict of interest because I represent Kirk Burbidge from time to time. I don't view it as a conflict that takes me out of the discussion here, but if anybody has an objection, please raise it. I'm going to proceed to participate unless somebody wants to object. Number two, I would recommend in the definition section under crematorium defined a building, I would recommend adding the word a building or facility containing furnaces, etc. We don't want to just limit it to a building. I think we want to make it broader in terms of a crematorium facility. Other than that, I'm okay with it.
Okay, so you're recommending a building or crematorium facility? Is that what you said?
No, I would say a building or facility
Okay,
containing furnaces for cremating, etc.
I have no problem with that. If the board prefers that language, we have no objection to that.
It just makes it broader so that you don't get limited to, talking about a building.
Okay, fair enough.
Anybody else have any comments from the commission?
And if I might point out here, while we're on that definition section, you can see on my furnace, I have an S in parentheses, and I really think that the S could be removed and perhaps should be removed. When I drafted that, I wasn't completely up to speed with my client on how this works, but there has to be, or at least his position is there has to be at least 2 furnaces in a crematorium, because if something goes wrong during the cremation process, which is extremely rare, there needs to be a backup furnace so that there's not human remains left less than completely cremated. So that's why he says for safety purposes and sanitation purposes, there has to be two furnaces, at least two furnaces in the facility. So if the board agrees with that, then perhaps we can just take out the parenthesis S parenthesis and just make it, take out the parentheses, both parentheses, and just make it furnaces, plural.
Okay. You good with that, Dave? Is there any public comment? Dave?
There is one question that has been submitted. And that is, will cremation of pets be included in his business?
No, Mr. Burbidge has no, Mr. Burbidge has no desire to get into the cremation of pets. That would take another whole facility. One would not want to mix pet cremations and human cremations. And he does not believe it's cost effective for him to do both. So the proposed text amendment that we're making is only for human remains.
And I'm sorry, I missed this. Just for clarification, that question was submitted by Marie Valong.
Thank you.
Is there anything else, Dave or Mary, or any other public comment?
I have received no other public comments, written or verbal.
Okay,
And there's nothing else been submitted at this time.
okay, thank you. All right, would anybody like to make a recommendation?
I make a motion, we recommend to the text amendment, adding the language of what Mr. Cosby added.
Chris, you probably want to close the public hearing, and then you could entertain Mr. Chandler's motion.
Okay, at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing as all public comment is finished. Would anybody like to make a recommendation? Would you like to start over, sir?
Again, I would recommend that we recommend to the council to the approval of the text amendment with the additions of what Mr. Cosby had stated in the language that was accepted by Mr. Todd for his client.
And I would assume remove the parentheses as Mr. Todd suggested.
Yes.
Would anybody like to second the motion?
I'll second the motion. Austin.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, I think you're all set. Thank you, Mr. Todd.
Very much, gentlemen. I appreciate it very much. And Mr. Engelhardt,
Yes, sir.
Millen has you.
I'm sorry.
I said, Ms. Boland has been a delight to work with as usual.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Tax. Zero, zero. Parcel number.
Chris, I can barely hear every other word you're saying.
I can't hear anything.
I hear every other word, Chris.
Dave, he's no longer in the meeting. Can you, oh, there he
We're
is.
here now. We're here.
Okay.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I can hear again.
Okay,
This
this is
Pete
Newt
speaking.
Chandler. I just would like. Okay, I would just like to disclose that Mr. Cardball is working on a project on a piece of land that I own on Evans Road, and there could be a conflict there construed. If anybody has heartburn with that, we need to know it now. I just wanted to disclose that to be. I'm sorry. Does anybody have any objection to me sitting in on this hearing?
No heartburn, Newt.
I have no objection.
Anybody? Matt?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, Dave, should I open up the public hearing? Do you want to speak first or?
yeah, and again, this is a continuation. We had this on the agenda for the November 10th, 2021 meeting for a public hearing, but it was withdrawn at that time by the applicant. If you remember, there was a concept plan presented at our October 13th, 2021 meeting, outlining the proposed development upon rezoning if it was granted. So this is a public hearing. You need to introduce it as a public hearing, and then we'll have to close the public hearing after public comment.
Okay, I'll go ahead and reopen the public hearing at this time. And Dave, would you like to start us off, and would you like to? You have anything to add to what you already said, or?
But this is a rezoning, I'm sorry, request. It's a recommendation of the planning commission again to the mayor and council, who will have a later public hearing to decide. But the request is to rezone the parcel from B2 shopping district, which it is now, to R4 residential district, which would allow for the placement of I think it's 176 townhomes in the development that the applicant proposes. Previously, before the B2 zoning, this was at one point zoned industrial in the town upon annexation in the year 2000. And we had changed it to the B2 commercial I think it was 2 years ago. So this is a change.
Let me interrupt you for 1 second, Dave. That Commissioner Cassio has joined us on the phone. I believe he's,
Okay.
can you hear us, Ron? Ron, are you there? Okay, apparently he hasn't. He must not have audio.
He may have joined as an attendee. What are the last few digits of his phone number?
Yeah, I don't
Hang on
see
one
him as the
second.
participant on the invite, Mary.
Hang on 1 second. The last four? You said the last four,
Three.
Mary?
Four,
Last
3 or
All right, hang
4.
on.
0818 is his phone number.
Yeah, and in the Q and A section, Dirk Whittison, I don't know why he's commenting. He's asking if we can hear him. I don't know if he's thinks he has a microphone or
Yeah,
not.
be 818. 818.
All right, I've given him permission to speak. Because he is on the phone, I can't move him in as a board member, but I have given him permission to speak. That would be Mr. Cassio.
Okay.
Anyone else who is in the attendee list or has a question, that would be part of the public section of the hearing, not at this
Right, the public comment period before the close of the public hearing, Chris.
Okay.
Okay, so
comes to this, or will he be able to vote?
As I said,
you hear
I've,
me?
I've given him permission to speak. I can't do anything on his end as far as that goes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Dave, go right ahead.
No, I'm finished. I guess we could, if you open a public hearing, we can take testimony from the applicant and his representative.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing. And Mr. Cropper, I assume you're gonna speak?
Yes, sir. So for the record, it's Mark Spencer Cropper, 6200 Coastal Highway, Suite 200, Ocean City, Maryland, and I'm the attorney for the applicant, which is Atlantic Group and Associates, Inc. I have seated beside me Chris Carball, the principal of Atlantic Group and Associates, who will be providing testimony this evening, and we have submitted some documents which will be available throughout this hearing. Mr. Engelhardt has accurately described the request, and that is to rezone the subject parcel, which is approximately 25 acres in size, from B2 shopping district to R4 residence district. The property received its B2 zoning classification after the Planning Commission meeting on January the 8th, 2020. Mr. Carball, will you please identify yourself for the board?
Chris Carball, principal with Atlantic Group and Associates, address 10044 Old Ocean City Boulevard, Berlin, Maryland.
And what do you do for a living, sir?
A land planner with Atlantic Group and Associates.
And have you been qualified as a land planner before this board, other boards, courts of law throughout the state of Maryland?
Yes.
And how many times, if you had to estimate, have you been so qualified?
Over a couple dozen.
And will you please state for the record what your educational and professional background is?
I have a bachelor's of science in landscape architecture. I'm a registered landscape architect in the state of Maryland.
Okay, I'm going to be offering the testimony of Mr. Carball as an expert planner for the purposes of this hearing. On the screen right now is an aerial photograph. On the upper left-hand corner is the subject property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can we go to the next rendering, please? Which I have as number 6. Yes. Now, this is a rendering that you prepared. Is that correct, Mr. Carball?
It is.
Will you describe for the board what this reflects?
This conceptual site plan illustrates 176 townhomes. It also incorporates several community amenities, including a clubhouse, community pool, and park.
Now, on the lower right-hand corner of the project is land that is presently zoned B2 and will remain zoned B2. Is that correct?
Correct.
So is it your position that should the mayor and council rezone this property, what you're at this time proposing would actually be a type of mixed use between the commercial area that borders Route 818 and the residential to the rear? So you would actually travel through the commercial area on an entrance road to enter the residential area. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, because this property received its B2 zoning classification in 2020, this rezoning effort is based upon a mistake in zoning. Is that correct?
Correct.
I would like to go to page 24 of the Worcester County Comprehensive Plan, which I think is item 11 on the screen, if we can. Okay. So I'm going to show you what is presently on the screen, and I'll direct the attention to the lower left-hand corner that reads commercial land supply. Will you please read what it says under commercial land supply?
Sure. Based on industry standards for the relationship of commercial land, no market size, an excessive amount of commercial zoning exists in Worcester County. Discounting half of the vacant land in this category is unbuildable. The remaining land, if developed, would have a capacity to serve a population of over 2 million people. The county's peak seasonal population is less than 25% of this number. The area of greatest concern is the US 50 corridor. This vital transportation link has a 7-mile long ribbon of intense commercial zoning. As a first step, additional commercial rezoning around US 50 should not be permitted. Use of down zoning or commercial transfer development rights should be explored. Developing a more concentrated commercial corridor off Holly Grove Road to 589 portion of the service road would greatly reduce traffic impacts.
Now, the subject property is immediately north of US Route 50 at the intersection with 818. Is that correct?
Yes,
So if one was to apply this provision of the comprehensive land use plan of Worcester County, you would conclude that additional commercial zoning in that area should not be permitted, correct?
correct.
Okay. Now, if we can go to the next rendering on the screen, which I believe is 7, 9, and 10, but let's go with 7 first.
Just let me know when it's at the slide that you,
Okay, hold on 1 second, please.
okay.
Mine has a number 7 at the bottom, so I'll keep going. Keep one more. There we go. So, Mr. Carball, this is a copy of a portion of the comprehensive zoning map for Worcester County. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it shows obviously the boundaries of the town, inclusive of this parcel, but it also shows from the intersection of 113 and Route 50 going east in red, all of the B2 zoned land in close proximity to Berlin. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then on the upper right-hand corner, just before it leaves the map, it's purple. That land is actually zoned C3 in the county, which is the most intense commercial zoning. We refer to it as big box zoning. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So now let's go to the rendering that I believe has a number 9, and then we'll go to 10 underneath the rendering. Okay, so on the lower left-hand corner is a continuation of Route 50, showing in red on the north side all the B2 zoning, and in purple on the south side the B3 or the C2 at the top, C3 at the bottom. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, now let's go to the next screen. This is a continuation of the same comprehensive zoning map, showing on the south side of Route 50 in purple, C3, and then beginning at Holly Grove Road and heading east, you have C2 on the north and south side, essentially extending all the way into West Ocean City. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. This is reflecting the vast amount of commercial zoned land in close proximity that existed prior to 2020 when this land received its B2 zoning. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now let's go to let's go back to item number 9. So it's the one just prior to this. There we go. So you will see near the lower left-hand corner of the screen is the intersection of Route 589 and Route 50. And then 589 extends north until it reaches 113 at the top. You'll see on the left-hand side of 589 a note regarding some rezonings that took place directly across from the Ocean Downs property. Those properties prior to 2019 had been zoned E1, is that correct?
Correct.
And then as a result of resolution 19-2 on January the 8th, 2019, all those properties had their zoning classification changed from E1 to C2. And again, that clearly happened after the adoption of the comprehensive zoning map in 2009, correct?
Correct.
Then as you go north on 589, just north of Turtle Creek, you'll see some additional C2 property, and you'll see notes on two properties on the right-hand side of rezonings. One is rezoning case number 392, and the other is case number 396, which in 2012 and 2016 rezoned those two properties from agricultural to C2. Is that correct?
Correct.
So these rezonings all along 589, increasing the acreage of available C2 land, all occurred after the adoption of the comprehensive zoning map in 2009 of the county, and prior to the rezoning of this property in 2020. Is that correct?
Correct.
And therefore, it is our position that had the mayor and council, and prior to that, the planning commission, been made aware of these facts, of the vast amount of commercially zoned land throughout Worcester County in close proximity to the subject property immediately north of Berlin and west of 818, this property should not have been rezoned as B2. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now let's go to what is number 13 on the screen, which is a projected financial benefits analysis. There we go. Did you prepare this analysis?
I did.
And you prepared it in anticipation of this hearing, is that correct?
Correct.
Will you please explain to the planning commission members what this reflects?
Yes, during our last meeting with the town, there was questions about the economic benefit of a project such as we are proposing. So we wanted to outline how Berlin could benefit from such a project. As you can see, if we work our way down, the estimated residential commercial tax revenue would equate to $614,000 in annual revenue. The real estate revenue projected would be for 2021, 3.6 million. Project would mean a 17% increase in revenue for the town. The projected enterprise electric fund revenue would equate to $670,000. The projected enterprise water fund revenue would equate to $40,000. The projected enterprise wastewater fund revenue would equate to $126,000. This projected total yearly revenue would equate to $1.45 million. Also, with the project, the town would be paid $3.2 million in water and sewer EDU fees that would help debt reduction. Projected impact fees would equate to $350,000. So the capital for reduction of debt would equate to $3.5 million. This project has the potential financial benefit in the first year development to produce $5 million for the town of Berlin.
Okay. Now, let's go to a letter that was sent by Lori A. Byron from the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, which is on the screen. Will you please read into the record what this letter says from Ms. Byron?
Sure. Dear Mr. Carball, the Wildlife and Heritage Service has determined that there are no official state or federal records for listed plant or animal species within the delineated areas shown on the map provided. As a result, we have no specific concerns regarding potential impacts or recommendations for protection measures at this time. Please let us know, however, if the limits of the proposed disturbance or overall site boundaries should change, and we will provide you with an updated evaluation.
Okay, thank you. Now, if we can go to the item number 12 on the screen, which I believe you, there it is. Okay, thank you. You prepared the aviation exhibit that's on the screen right now, is that correct?
I did.
And you did it because prior to an earlier hearing, a letter dated November 9th, 2021 had been sent to the town of Berlin by Ashish J. Solanki, Director, Office of Regional Aviation Assistance. Is that correct?
Correct.
I'm going to read into the record this letter, then we're going to address it. It's addressed to Mr. Engelhardt, the Maryland Department of Transportation, Maryland Aviation Administration, respectfully submits the following comments for consideration in the Town of Berlin Planning Commission's rezoning request of tax map 25 parcel 4 from B2 shopping to R4 residential. The intent to allow multifamily dwellings within this district raises aeronautical concerns for non-compatible land use near the Buntings Airport and on an existing low-flying aircraft operations. The proximity to Buntings Airport, an MDOT MAA licensed commercial use landing facility, is of paramount concern. Residential communities in close proximity to aircraft activity invites negative public perception of noise, vibrations, nuisance complaints, and environmental complaints. Additionally, low-flying aircraft perform aerial applications on farm communities in the area. Any densely developed community in the area would be dangerous to both the piloted aircraft and residences of the community. To protect Buntings Airport and other aerial agricultural businesses, MDOT MAA recommends maintaining the commercial use district or a lower density limit in the rezoning effort. Additionally, establish disclaimers and purchase agreements for all residents of the development. The disclaimers should spell out the specific nature of aircraft activity in close proximity to the residents, and that airport operations generate perceived noise and other nuisances normal to aeronautical activity, including agricultural applications, as well as low-flying banner towing activity. Thank you for the opportunity to provide aeronautical context associated with the proposed rezoning. If you have any questions, I may be reached by phone at 410-859-7064 or by email at asolanki@bwiairport.com. Sincerely, Ashish J. Solanki, Director, Office of Regional Aviation Assistance. Have I accurately read the letter?
Yes.
Okay. So first, are you familiar with Mr. Buntings Airport?
Yes,
Are you familiar with the primary use of this business?
I am.
And can you describe your familiarity to the board, please?
We understand the use for Buntings Air Strip to be for banner planes and crop dusting.
Are you aware of what the subject property that's the subject of this hearing was zoned when Mr. Bunting received his approval for his use of that property?
I am.
What was the zoning of this property when his airport was approved?
R3.
And we have a rendering showing that R3 zoning. Let's see. There you go. Does this show it?
Yes,
So it's on the upper left-hand corner, correct?
correct.
So he knew, or should have known, that at the time he made application and was approved for his airport, that this property would be developed intensely in a residential manner as allowed by the R3 zoning provisions of the Berlin Code. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. My understanding is his airstrip has a special use exception in an agricultural zone property and required a special use to put that airstrip in that location.
All right. Can we go back to the aerial photograph that was last up on the screen near the Ocean City Airport? There we go. So you're obviously familiar with the Ocean City Airport, is that correct?
Yes,
And what you have done is overlaid some circles, both around the Ocean City Airport as well as the town of Berlin from the Bunning property. Is that correct?
correct.
So let's start with by the Ocean City. The Ocean City Airport is a municipal airport, very commercial in nature. Is that correct?
Yes,
And are you familiar with all of the residential neighborhoods or most of them in close proximity to the Ocean City Airport?
I am.
And do they include Deer Point and Ocean Reef adjacent to and north of Airport Road?
Yes,
The Sea Oaks Project, Mystic Harbor, Whispering Woods, Marsh Harbor, and Martha's Landing are just some of the many residential neighborhoods in extremely close proximity to that airport, correct?
correct.
And in fact, the Sea Oaks project is the most recent project that's been approved. And am I correct that that project is directly in line with one of the runways of the airport?
It is.
And in fact, it is just now under initial development. They're just now building the first homes in that subdivision. Is that correct?
They are constructing townhomes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Good here.
Now let's look at Mr. Bunning's property.
Hey, Mark, Mr. Cropper.
Yes.
Hello? Yes, I'm sorry. I lost you for about a minute. Can you back, I apologize. Can you back up to when you started talking about being in an R3?
This property being zoned R3 when Mr. Bunning got his airport approval.
Yeah, I apologize. I lost you for about a minute and a half here.
That's okay. I don't mind repeating myself. So if we can go back to the earlier
All right.
rendering, let's see, keep going. There we go. So this is a rendering of zoning in and around the town of Berlin at the time that Mr. Bunning's airport was apparently approved, and it shows on this property, it was at that time zoned R3. And so Mr. Bunning knew, or reasonably should have known, when he received his airport approval, that this property was going to be developed consistent with the R3 zoning classification in a residential manner, which allows a very high density. And Mr. Carball, you can just confirm again the accuracy of that statement.
That's correct.
And so then we went to the last rendering that we were on, showing the Ocean City Airport, and described the many residential subdivisions in and around the Ocean City Airport, all of which are within, well, some are within probably 100 yards, but others clearly within 1, 2, and 3 miles of that airport, which include Deer Point, Ocean Reef, Sea Oaks, Mystic Harbor, Whispering Woods, Marsh Harbor, Martha's Landing, and there's many other residential properties in close proximity. And the most recent one being developed is Sea Oaks, and they are just now building units within Sea Oaks. So that's been extremely recent, and the Sea Oaks project is directly aligned to one of the main runways of that airport.
Correct. Within 2,500 feet.
Then when you look at the radius around Bunnings Airport, 1, 2, and 3 miles, it literally consumes the town of Berlin all the way, south of the town of Berlin. And yet, Mr. Bunning used the resources apparently of MDOT, Maryland Department of Transportation, to write this letter in an effort to dictate to the town of Berlin how the town of Berlin should grow on property property that was at one time designated growth area. It was one time zoned industrial, then commercial. And now obviously we're proposing it for a zoning classification that is near identical to what it was zoned when Mr. Bunning's airport got approved. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, Mr. Carball, you are aware of a conversation that I had with Mr. Solinki on January the 6th, 2022. Is that correct?
Correct.
And as a result of that conversation, we were informed by Mr. Solinki that he only wrote this letter at the behest of Mr. Bunning. Basically, had he not been called by Mr. Bunning, the letter would never have been written. Is that your understanding?
It is.
Is it also your understanding that the Maryland Department of Transportation, Maryland Aviation Administration does not dictate zoning either within the town of Berlin or within any other town or municipality? Is that correct?
They do not.
And the suggestion that it would be appropriate to have this property developed either industrially, as it was initially prior to the B2, or commercial is acceptable to Mr. Bunning and MDOT, but an R4 zoning is not acceptable for the reasons indicated in his letter. Is that correct?
Yes.
And for the Planning Commission's benefit, this application is to change the zoning from B2 to R4, but should the board be considering a residential rezoning and is for whatever reason not inclined to rezone the power, make a favorable recommendation for rezoning to R4, you would agree as a plan B to accept an R3 zoning classification, which is the same, obviously, as when Mr. Bunning's airport was approved. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That is going to be the testimony that I'm presenting on this rezoning matter before the Planning Commission makes a decision on this matter, and prior to its deliberation, I would like to be heard in a closing argument, but that is our presentation.
Okay, thank you. Dave, would you like to, do we have any more emails or comments from the public that you received?
Yeah.
Since the last time you, I think you have a half a dozen or a dozen or more.
Well, I had put the ones from the previous meeting that we had received in your packets, so you've seen those. But the most recent from when we posted for this meeting, I've received a few more, and I will read them into the record. First one I received was from Mr. Daniel Wills, 108 Cedar Avenue in Berlin. He wrote this by email on Sunday, January the 9th. Says, hello, I'm writing regards a request of rezoning for a new housing/commercial project. I'm a resident in the town of Berlin, and I wish to express my hope that you will not allow this project to proceed. I honestly don't understand the recent desire to grow Berlin. A reason a lot of us bought homes here was because it is a small town. The recent development around us is bad enough. I really just don't see a need to increase population and congestion in our town. I also have heard about the concerns this would have on a local commercial airport, to which I completely agree. While I appreciate another person's desire to start a business, I really do not believe that Berlin, especially at that location, is the proper place for it. I am also concerned on the added stress this development will put upon our emergency services. The Berlin Fire Department already is taxed with serving a large area. It is becoming very difficult to maintain staffing levels at departments everywhere. We cannot expect to increase population and believe that the same level of service can be maintained. In closing, I say this: I suppose growth is inevitable, but let that growth happen outside of our small town. Be happy with who and what we are. The next one I received was also, well, no, this one was from Monday, January 10th. This was received from, she has Tina Platel or Plato, a Berlin resident. To the Berlin Zoning Commission, this letter is to express concern for the proposed rezoning that has been requested by developer Chris Carba for the area at the intersection of routes 50 and 818. Many have already stated that the proposed residential development will cause strain on our community as it pertains to schools, the sewer system, and traffic patterns. There is no question that this proposed development will overwhelm our town's resources that are already operating at capacity. Also, it remains unclear as to what need this development meets. Has there been a data collection to determine if this type of housing is required? If there is a need for more single-family homes, why would this parcel be the best place for it? Has the zoning commission done its own impact survey, or are they just relying on the developer? There doesn't seem to be enough evidence that this development is a good idea. I hope you will consider at least tabling this request, if not denying it outright. Next one that I received also on Monday, January 10th, by email. This one was received, well, I don't have an address and I don't have a last name, so it's not supposed to go in the record, I believe. Is that correct, Mary?
That would be up to the commission.
If they don't have an address, you know, can you say their name?
First name, just the first name, Devon.
They have a name?
Devon,
No,
just the
no.
first name.
We'll pass. Okay, now, we're not gonna allow it.
Okay. Next one I received also on Monday was from Berlin resident Joan Maloof. To whom it may concern, I am a homeowner in the town of Berlin and I am against, in capital letters, rezoning and allowing a townhouse development on Route 50. Please share my comments widely. That was a short one. Next one I received was today from Ann Thawley. And she writes, Berlin Planning Commission. I, like many, moved to Berlin for its small town charm and quirks, great schools, and walk/bike ability. These same qualities have appealed to so many people. In fact, that this cute little town is experiencing an unprecedented growth spurt. Berlin now is in the enviable position of being so attractive that more people want to live here than there is room for. With this situation comes decisions on how to handle it. Does the town expand? And if it does, can the qualities make it so appealing to call it home be sustained? Growth is inevitable. Mitigating its effects on the town and its citizens should be everyone who lives here's top priority. I believe we can manage our growth in a way that reflects the wants of its citizens, not just the financial needs of the town now arising from past mistakes and mismanagement. Leaving the parcel at Route 50 and 818 as commercial could encourage investment in our community in the form of jobs and tax revenue from an industry. Rezoning to residential for a dense development of townhouses will bring short-term jobs that is being built and property tax income to the town, but at what cost? What is the financial impact on already overcrowded schools and emergency services, such as the fire company that relies on volunteers it can barely get as is? How much will it cost to change the traffic patterns that are already saturated in a town that is currently unable to handle the volume that exists? Will the impact study reflect the cost of adding police in order to be able to handle higher call qualities and traffic control? Please consider not rezoning this parcel as an investment in our town's future. Think about why you moved here or continue to live here, and please act to ensure Berlin can keep those very qualities intact. Thank you for your commitment to the future of Berlin. And that was Michelle Fawley from 325 North Main Street. Next one I received today was from Mrs. Barb Stack, and you're all familiar. She's a former planning commissioner. Resident of Berlin, lives on Washington Street, 6 Washington Street. And she writes this: "Good morning, everyone. I have some comments regarding the proposed large townhouse project for North Main Street and Route 50. Number one, this site has been rezoned many times due to a quote zoning mistake. Why is this a recurring mistake? The truth is the owner has not found a suitable use for the property. This is not the town's burden. Number two, this site is a prime commercial property. It is a horrible location for residential use. The basic real estate principle of location, location, location is being totally ignored. Who would want to live on a major highway? When this housing boom cycle ends, who will be left in this development? Only the people who are stuck there because they bought in the wrong location at a high price. And it will become a place for transient people because no one wants to live next to a major highway. Number three, how does another disjointed project improve our town? Oceans East has not. The town will regret approving this project. Number four, in the bigger picture, we already are struggling with overcrowded schools and are having to add additions to the additions on the schools. Number five, town hall is crowded and the staff can only handle so much work. Those too will need to be expanded, but the developers do not factor in these expenses and the burden is placed on all the taxpayers. Number six, selling a large number of EDUs only puts us closer to needing another very expensive expansion of the wastewater treatment plant. And number seven, where will all of these new residents work? We don't have a lot of jobs. She summarizes by saying, I know that there are many residents that have traffic and safety concerns with this intersection, so I'll not duplicate that. But this project is not good for our town in any case. Please do not approve this rezoning request. Thanks for listening, Barb. Okay, and then I had another email from an attorney, Mr. Dirk Widdowson, who's representing Mr. Bunting of the airport that we were talking about. So his letter is the letter that Mr. Cropper read into the testimony. I was going to read into it, but you've already put it into the minutes. It's already on record. But he wrote to us, Carolyn Duffy, in my office today. I represent Robert Bunting with regard to the rezoning request is going to go before the board at tonight's Zoom meeting. In that regard, I am attaching here to an aerial photo that shows both my client's business and the proposed site for the rezoning request, as well as a letter from the MDOT Aviation Administration. That's the letter I was referring to that Mr. Cropper already read, that I would like to enter into evidence at this meeting. Please advise if this will be acceptable. And we had communicated with him and said it would be. Thanking you in advance for your anticipated cooperation in this matter. Dirk W. Widdowson, Esquire, 312 West Main Street, Salisbury, Maryland. Mary, I think we had his exhibit queued up somewhere. The one map.
Yes. Give me just a moment, please.
It's a basic one, but it shows kind of what we're looking at with the circles of the aviation, how close or proximity. If you see the right along Route 50, it looks like an arrowhead. The property is outlined in red ink. That's the subject property. And then the Google balloon straight to the north is where the airport is located, 9758 Gary Road. This was provided by Mr. Widdowson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that, let me look, see if I had another one here too. Did I have one more or two more?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have two more. Again, received today. And the first one is from Mr. Philip Hauk, and he owns one of the adjoining properties right along Route 50 there. I believe the commercial corner where it's still going to remain commercial zoning. He writes, I annexed my 2 properties back in December of 1999. That's 23 years ago. When is the town of Berlin going to help develop this property? I am in full agreement for the rezoning for 176 townhouses. The banner planes that fly over this property can fly 200 to 300 yards to the east or to the west. It's time for the town of Berlin to grant yes to move on this property. So please say yes. I repeat, 23 years ago, I gave my 2 properties to the town of Berlin. Thanks, Phil Howe. And then the last one I had that I wanted to read into the record was received from Bronwyn Betts at 506 William Street in Berlin. This one came in this afternoon. To the town of Berlin Mayor and Council and Planning Commission. I am writing to express my opposition to the rezoning of the parcel at Route 50 and Main Street. I feel that there is no good justification for the rezoning. I question why zoning is designated if it is so often changed to suit the wants of developers. The intersections at both ends, Route 50 and 113, of this proposed development are already dangerous. If 176 townhomes are built and they each have 1.5 cars, then it's 260 cars per day potentially turning out from these intersections. That would be a huge increase considering there are only a few homes and businesses located there now. Please vote against this rezoning to preserve the safety and atmosphere of our town. All right, so that's what I had received in addition to the previous, I think there were 11 that we had previously that I had shared with you for the packets for the last meeting. And also, I think you had requested I send them to you, but they've been posted with the packets when we did it last week.
Mr. Engelhardt, what was that, the last name on the last letter you read?
I'm sorry?
The last name of the person that wrote the last letter that you read.
Betts, B-E-T-Z.
Thank you.
Mr. Denny, I will note that Mr. Widowson and Bunting are on as attendees and do have their hand raised to speak. If you'd like me to go ahead and
Yeah, go ahead
facilitate
and-
that.
Yeah, when you're ready, go ahead and proceed with, it's just those 2, or is anybody else? Oh, shit, we froze again.
Yeah,
There
other-
are others, but that they were relevant
I'm
to
back, hang on.
what Mr.
shit.
Engelhardt was just discussing.
Okay, are they the only 2 on, or is anybody else, or just the?
There are several others
you there?
on. I have asked Mr. Widowson to join as a panelist, which would enable him to speak.
Okay, yeah, whenever you're ready, go ahead and proceed.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm back. Go right ahead.
This is Dirk Whittison. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, good. Thank you. I am here today representing Robert P. Bunting and Holly J. Bunting, who own 9758 Cary Road, Berlin, Maryland. You've heard Mr. Cropper speak of them and their business. There are 3 businesses at this location that we believe will be adversely impacted. That is Bunting Dustings, Inc., Ocean Aerial Ads, Inc., and Cloud Dancer, Inc. I first would like to ask a question of Mr. Cropper in that I am somewhat confused. And if you can go to, it's not really labeled. It was done by Atlantic Group and it says Berlin Crossing. And it is a picture of the proposed 176 townhouses. Can we go to that?
Yes, give me just a moment, please.
Thank you very much.
just want to be calling our hot mic like dipshit.
No, 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 no. Yes, that, hold. Mr. Cropper, and Mr. Caldwell, either one can answer this for me. If you look at the top left-hand corner of that, you show map 0025 parcel 004, 24.16 acres. Map 0025 parcel 0461, 2.51 acres. Map 0025 parcel 0460, 2.31 acres. Map 0025 parcel 0145, 0.70 acres. However, in this application, it's only showing, if I'm correct, 0025 parcel 004 and parcel 0461, 2.51 acres. However, in reading your proposed zoning, you're showing B2 is 4.72 acres and R4 is 25.56 acres. Can you tell me how this project affects all 4 of those parcels, or is it just 2?
Mr. Carball, can you answer the question?
We are establishing a parcel of the 25 acres to accommodate the townhouse project. And that's the parcel we're requesting rezoning. The remaining parcels that are shown on this exhibit are currently a corner piece already zone B2, as well as an apartment building parcel that is zone B2 that would be retained as commercial B2 property.
So are you saying, Chris, that what Mr. Whittison is talking about, which is I see on the exhibit, is showing everything that's reflected basically in green? One part of it is the subject of the rezoning, but part of it is already B2, and you're not seeking to rezone, but all of the parcels included in the exhibit in green are what are identified.
Correct. They are
Okay.
just under 30 acres in size.
Okay.
And Mr. Carbell, you'll agree then that those 4 parcels are owned by 4 different individuals and or businesses. Is that not correct?
They are owned by 2 different property owners.
Well, I'm going to tell you from SDAT, I'm reading in regard to parcel map 0025, parcel 0145. It's currently owned by Philip I. Hauck. Is that correct?
Correct.
And is that not the letter that was read, the only letter that was read in favor of this project was from Mr. Hauck?
Well, if that's letter number 8 that was read by Mr. Engelhardt, that letter was written by Mr. Hauck, who is the owner of the B2 zone commercial properties adjacent to 818, if that answers your question, Dirk.
Okay. And then there is, I'm going to parcel, Mr. Cropper, 0025 0460 is owned by Last Stop Boardwalk LLC. Is that not also an LLC that is owned by Mr. Hauck?
I cannot answer that. I don't know if Chris can.
I know it, Phil is part of that ownership. Whether he is there's other owners, I cannot say.
Okay, and then I'm looking at 0025 parcel 004 is owned by Joan Matico. Is that correct?
Correct.
Then I'm looking at parcel number 0025 0461 is owned by Jerry B. Matico.
Yes, Joan and Jerry are married.
Okay.
And yes, the property is owned by both of them in different names.
And I am reading from the staff report from Berlin Planning Commission, meeting date Wednesday, November 10th, 2021, 5:30 p.m. by Planning Director David H. Engelhardt. He says, and I'm quoting, "Our case tonight is a public hearing for a request for rezoning of Worcester County Tax Map number 0025 0004 from B2 Shopping District to R4 Resident District received from Delmarva Property Management." Who is Delmarva Property Management, and how are they related to these 4 individuals that own the parcels that you're seeking rezoning?
Delmarva Property Management pretty much was the original entity looking to do commercial development, and they are basically looking to transfer the property to a residential development building group.
So they're not, then it's true, they're not an owner of any of these properties, is that correct?
Correct. Well, they are basically an applicant.
They're a what, I'm sorry?
They're an applicant, or basically were the contract purchaser at one time for the property.
Are they still the applicant?
I'm the applicant as the land planner.
So
And who are your clients then? It's the land planner. You don't own this property.
Correct. My client right now is Reed Ventures.
Is who?
Reed Ventures.
And who is Reed Ventures?
It's a residential developer builder.
Do they have a contract or any interest in this property?
They do.
And so for everyone to know, then this property would be sold to them, is that correct? If you're
Correct.
successful in getting this rezoning. So I take
They
it,
have it under contract.
okay, so it would be contingent upon this. So now I want to ask you the following. And I want to kind of go through the history if we can. I'm looking at a planning commission meeting that was held on January the 8th of 2020. Are you familiar with that?
Dirk's asking you if you're familiar with the planning commission meeting that took place on January 8, 2020. And Dirk, correct me if I'm wrong, that's when the planning commission recommended favorably for the B2 zoning.
That is correct. Mr. Carbrough was
Yes.
present. And I'm reading from that. Mr. Carbell, you stated the project was proposed for that property, an industrial park that never happened. And then you stated, you then repeated the finding and facts, which I will go to in a minute. My question to you is it not true that the ownership of these properties has not changed since the original annexation, I believe, with you quoted as 23 years ago, or Mr. Hout stated it was 23 years ago. Is that correct? Same owners?
So I believe so.
Okay, so it's originally annexed, and at that time it was zoned as M1A. Is that correct?
I believe so.
And then in 2020, you appeared before this commission and you asked, or your position was that there was a mistake in that M1A and that it should be a B2. Is that correct?
Correct.
And there's findings of fact that you're relying on, and I'm reading G. It says the highest and best use for the properties is commercial, making a change in zoning classification from M1A light industrial to B2 shopping district, the most appropriate for the properties in the town. Was that your opinion then?
That was at that time, yes.
Okay, and then H says there is a public necessity for the requested change in zoning classification. Convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practice require that a finding of mistake occur and the properties receive a change in zoning classification for M1A light industrial to B2 shopping district. That was your opinion at that time also, correct?
Correct.
All right, so now we all know that lawyers call it the law of the change or mistake rule, and that is codified in the annotated code of Maryland in our land use article, and I'm quoting from 4-204 zoning regulations amendment, repeal, and reclassification. Under number 2, it says the legislative body may grant the amendment to change the zoning classification based on the finding that there was 1, a substantial change in the character of the neighborhood where the property is located, or 2, a mistake in the existing zoning classification. Are you saying tonight that in 2020, that was a mistake?
Yes.
And can you tell me what was the mistake?
The mistake was identifying this parcel for commercial when there is not a current need or foreseen need for this amount of commercial in the area of Berlin.
I would like then to go back to the January 2020 minutes. I'm going to read. Mr. Caldwell said they have been working with Mr. Houck trying to get the ditch changed, and now they have offers for parcels which allows for a better project. What statement is true? What you said then or what you're telling me today?
Can you repeat the question, Dirk?
I'll repeat what he wrote on January the 8th of 2020. I'm quoting from these minutes. Mr. Caldwell said that they had been working with Mr. Houck trying to get the ditch changed, and now they have offers for the parcels, which allows for a better project. He just now stated that the change was that they can't find anybody and there was nobody to do it. And my question is, which one was true? When he stated it then or what he's stating tonight?
Answer.
They're both, that's both true.
Both true. So I then would like, if I can, to read to law to our commission. And this is from a case of Mayor and Council of Rockville versus Rhines Enterprises, which I'm going to read from another quote case where they quote that, which is NBC Realty LLC versus Baltimore. But I'll read. The mistake option of the rule requires a showing that the underlying assumptions or premises relied upon by the legislative body during the immediately preceding original or comprehensive rezoning were incorrect. In other words, there must be a showing of mistake of fact. Mistake in this context is not referred to a mistake in judgment. Are you telling us that there is a mistake of fact, and what was the fact that there was a mistake?
Yes.
And what is that fact?
All the other parcels in the area that are zone commercial.
Well, let's go back to your presentation that Mr. Cropper did such a wonderful job of, as he always does. But what he showed all of us, you would agree, all existed on January the 8th of 2020. Is that not correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you would then presume, or you're presuming, that our planning commission did not have any cognizant awareness of what was going on in Worcester County and or the location of the Ocean City Airport, and that developments after Ocean City Airport was there residentially were developed. So you're saying they didn't know anything about that?
Yeah, yes.
Now, you've stated that you were aware that Mr. Cropper spoke to Mr. Solinsky. Is that correct?
He's asked.
Were you in
Can
the
you
room?
repeat the question, Mr. Whittison?
Pardon?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, you stated in your testimony that you were familiar with Mark Cropper's phone conversation with Mr. Solinsky of the Maryland Department of Transportation, Maryland Aviation Administration.
Correct.
And how were you made aware of that? Were you present in the room when he called?
I was not. I was informed after the conversation.
And you were informed by Mr. Cropper, who's the attorney for the applicant. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then, so then, Mr. Cropper, may I ask you then, in your conversation with Mr. Solinsky, isn't it true that Mr. Solinsky, you asked him about the Ocean City Airport, and he said that the aviation division has become more strict, more knowledgeable as to these type of nuisance problems from airports than they were ever when the Ocean City Airport was built? Is that what he told you?
He did not word it exactly like that, Mr. Whittison. What I recall him saying when I asked about Mystic Harbor, Deer Point, and Sea Oaks, he indicated that prior to Sea Oaks, the other subdivisions in close proximity to the Ocean City Airport were prior to his time. And therefore, he really couldn't comment on whatever position his department took at that time. And with regard to Sea Oaks, I believe he did indicate that his department is giving these matters greater scrutiny than they may have given them in the past, something like that.
Thank you. I appreciate your honesty. The next question that I would like to ask, and this is for either of you to answer, is you're not suggesting to this commission that Mr. Zelinski was doing anything corrupt or illegal by writing a letter on behalf of Mr. Bunning. Is that my understanding?
No, I'm not suggesting anything corrupt or illegal, only suggesting a certain amount of inappropriateness, considering the history of this property and when Mr. Bunning received his approval for his airport.
For the commission as a question, do you wish for me to have Mr. Bunting sign in and give his name and address and so that you know that he is here? I'd like at least for that for the record. So at this time, I'd like to call Mr. Bunting as a witness. Mr. Bunting, would you please state your name and your address?
Yes, Robert Bunting. I own Bunting's Airport. My address is 9819 Cary Road, my residence, and my business is 9758 Cary Road.
And what business do you conduct at that location?
We do the aerial application under Bunting's Dusting. We do ocean aerial ads, the banner planes for Ocean City. And we also have Cloud Dance for the sightseeing business that works out of there and Ocean City.
And how long have you been at that location conducting this type of business?
Judging by my gray hair, a long time, but 1980, we started the crop dusting out there.
Okay. And you saw that was put on an evidence by Mr. Cropper and Mr. Carball that when you got your special use exception, was that back in 1980?
Yeah, I believe it was.
And did you know at that time that that property that's the subject of this hearing was an R, I think they said it was an R3, did you not, Mark?
I did, that's correct, Mr. Whittison, that's correct.
And that was in Worcester County. It was not an annexed property at that time of the town of Berlin.
Well, back then, we were small, Berlin was small, and none of us worried about any of this. Now is a different time with the caliber of the people, with the noise complaints, and with the people not understanding the kind of operations we run.
And Mr. Bunning, if I may ask you this, Mr. Cropper and Mr. Carball had these beautiful drawings of circles around both the Ocean City Airport as well as your airport. Can you explain to this commission the difference in a commercial airplane taking off and landing and one that carries banners or one that carries, I guess, chemicals for crop dusting?
The airplanes taking off to the south, the spray planes, cannot gain the altitude. Their noise levels are probably about 4 to 5 times a general aviation airplane. So not only are they going to not be as high, they're going to be a lot noisier, and they can't turn as sharp. That's why we have flight zones, and that's why we have the way we take off. We take off 2 different directions according to the wind.
And the location of the property in question, is that in one of your flight zones?
It will be affected by both the noise and the flight path of the planes taking off to the south. As far as the banner planes, when they drop their banners and make their circles, they will be affected by the banner planes and their noise.
All right, thank you. How, in your opinion, how would, if the commission was so inclined to recommend this change to R4, how do you believe would affect your property and your businesses?
What you're going to do is every resident in that development, they're going to complain to the people they bought the townhouses from. In turn, it's going to be lawsuits. We're going to be sued. They're going to be sued. The town's going to hear it. So it's a no-win situation for everybody involved.
So is your particular harm different than the general public from this, if they were to grant it? Is it specific to you or is that to the whole general public?
It's to everybody. It's not only going to be harmful to me, it's going to be harmful to the people that are there, because they're going to build and buy it when the airplanes aren't flying. And all of a sudden, it's like Pandora's box. It opens and what is this?
I would like to draw the commission's attention to the letter of Mr. Zelinski that he wrote. And in that, and I think this goes to what Mr. Bunting's saying is the disclaimers, it said, protect Bunting's Airport and other aerial agricultural businesses, MDOT/MAA recommends maintaining the commercial use district or a lower density limit in the rezoning effort. Additionally, establish disclaimers in purchase agreements for all residents of the development. The disclaimer should spell out the specific nature of aircraft activity in close proximity to the residents, and that airport operations generate perceived noise and other nuances normal to aeronautical activity, including agricultural applications, as well as low-flying banner towing activity, which I think addresses what Mr. Bunting's talking about. If appropriate, I would like to, as we go through the history, as I said, it was originally annexed, same owners, that it was an M1A. Then January 8th of 2020, it's now rezoned to a B2. Now, basically 2 years later, we're sitting here and it wants to be rezoned to an R4. There is a concept of law, a precept of law that's called spot zoning or piecemeal zoning. And I'd like just to read this. It says the hallmark of piecemeal zoning is that an active decision is reached on individual as opposed to general grounds and scrutinizes a single property. It goes on to say spot zoning is only legal if it is arbitrary, unreasonable devotion of the small area at issue to the use that is inconsistent with the uses to which the remainder of the district is restricted and done for the sole benefit of the private interest of the owner. I think one of the, in this case that I'm reading from now, is the NBC Realty LLC Baltimore case. And I'm quoting, and it says, a piecemeal zoning change, which by definition is a derogation of the comprehensive zoning scheme, only will be approved upon a satisfactory showing there has been significant and unanticipated change in a relatively well-defined area, the neighborhood surrounding the property in question since its original last comprehensive rezoning, whichever occurred most recently, or the underlying assumptions or premises relied upon by the legislative body during the immediately preceding original or comprehensive zoning were mistakes in judgment. So therefore, today, in order for the applicant to succeed, they would have to provide you with facts that would show that on January the 8th of 2020, there was a mistake in judgment. And what we have in the testimony today is Mr. Carball says that both of them were true. When he told you that he adopted the findings of fact that the highest and best use for the properties is commercial, making a change to zoning classification 1, a light industrial B2 shopping district, the most appropriate for the properties in the town. 2 years later, and not even 2 years later, because of course they filed this application long before this, they're now telling us that no, that's not really the best use. The best use is an R4.
Mr. Widdowson,
There's no doubt in my mind the position that Mr. Bunting and I are taking that this is piecemeal or spot zoning at its best, and it should not be allowed.
Mr. Widdowson,
Yes,
is this your closing argument, or are you still presenting your opposition?
I'm presenting my opposition. And I
Okay,
want to then move to the actual comprehensive plan of Berlin. And I would refer you to page 9 and 10. There was a resident survey results. And based on the numerous letters you received against this project, I think this states it for you on page 10 when it says, one of the responses, it said, in separate questions, respondents suggested residential development needs to be greatly decreased, but commercial uses and other services should be expanded and encouraged. Then on page 11, under goals and objectives, number 4, create a plan to manage future annexations, especially to control sprawling residential growth. Then on page 27, under land use element, under 1C, it says, preserve the character of community by C, allowing new residential growth only as necessary to accommodate an increased workforce, focusing on developing jobs in the community as the main priority. You have one letter there that addressed that specifically, that stated that there are no jobs, new jobs that necessitate the need of more residential. Then in the comprehensive plan, I would like to draw your attention to map 8. And I believe Mr. Cropper is trying to address that when he put in the letter from Natural Resources. However, this is the comprehensive plan, no matter what the letter says, is you look on map 8, sensitive areas in purple is right on smack dab on this property. I think commission has to look at that when they're making this decision. I think that's what I have, Mark, that I would like to present in our opposition to any change. It's just, it's obvious to me, and I hope everyone else in the room, and I understand if I'm the owner of the property or a developer, that I may want to change, but it's like the wind changes. What happens when the interest rates go up and there's no longer now a need for residential, and whoever these people are that are not part of this, they walk away, are we coming back for something else? And I just, that's not what this should be. This should be based as it is written and stated, that when you're doing these comprehensive plans, it should be based on good zoning practices and what is good for the community and what should be there. And I think if you read in the Berlin Code, section 108-214, under amendments to zoning regulations, it states, whenever the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, or good zoning practice requires, that's when the mayor can, based on the recommendation of the planning commission. I haven't heard any evidence here tonight that has anything to do with public necessity, convenience, or general welfare. The only welfare I've heard is for the owner of this property to sell it to some residential real estate developer. That's all I have.
Can I ask Mr. Bunning some questions, please?
Yes, you may. Yes, you may.
Mr. Bunning, how are you this evening?
I'm doing good, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well. You would agree with me, would you not, that the Ocean City Airport is a much busier airport than your business operation on your property?
The Ocean City Airport has no relevance to this matter because it's a different type of aircraft, different type of operations. We're commercial operations, not private people flying in, coming in on a high flight path to try to keep the noise down.
Okay, well, let me try the question again, Mr. Bunning. Wouldn't you agree with me that the Ocean City Airport is a much busier airport than your business operation, meaning many more airplanes coming in and out of the Ocean City Airport than your business? Yes or no?
I have had days that I have been busier than Ocean City Airport with the number of flights we have. And
I'll
then
try.
they've had days where they've been busier than I have.
I'll try it again. On average, in a year, the Ocean City Airport has many more flights in and out than you will ever have off your property. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, that depends on how good a summer I have, Mark. But on the average, of course, a commercial airport would have more airplanes coming into it. Yes, sir.
Okay, and the Ocean City Airport accommodates not only single engine planes, twin engine planes, and jets, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in the Ocean City Airport, they also accommodate the biplane rides up and down the beach. And they also have skydiving businesses that operate out of their airport, correct?
That is correct.
And those airplanes, the biplane for tourists and the other operations operate out of that airport on a daily basis throughout the summer, especially the skydiving. The skydiving operation, that airplane takes off and lands numerous times a day, correct?
That and the biplanes get the most complaints. You're correct.
Okay, and the neighbors in Deer Point and the surrounding neighborhoods of Mystic Harbor and Marsh Harbor and the like, they are affected by the Ocean City Airport, as you are indicating. You fear the people that would purchase units in this development will complain about your airport, correct?
Oh, I know they will complain about my airport.
And is it your opinion that because of your airport that was approved when this property was zoned R3 for residential development, that because of your business operation, you should be able to dictate how the town develops the properties within its boundaries consistent with its code? You think your operation should take precedent over how the town of Berlin controls its development and growth throughout the town of Berlin? Is that your position?
That's not at all what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that to make it beneficial for both Berlin and myself, we keep a common ground. It was zoned industrial and it should stay that way. End of conversation.
But all of the land between your operation, your property and Route 50, do you believe you should be able to control and dictate how all of those properties are developed that you do not own?
We're not dictating. We were going along with the town of Berlin and their zoning and the Worcester County plan.
How many flights on average leave and return to your property on a normal day?
It varies summer by summer. Sometimes the spray planes, you might have 50 flights out of there. Airplanes, you could have an easily 40 flights out of there. Other days, you could have 20 flights. It varies by what the farmers need and what Ocean City needs.
Clearly, I think you will agree with me that the proximity of all the residential neighborhoods near the Ocean City Airport have in no way impeded or interfered with the operations of that airport. Would you agree with that?
No, I won't. I've heard the complaints
From the airport?
from the airport and from the individuals in all the developments that you've been talking about. And when we've located our crop dusters to Ocean City to work out of there, when our airport got too wet, the phone rang off the hook. And you can check with the airport management about that.
I'll have to do that. I don't have any more questions of Mr. Bunning, Mr. Whittison.
No, that's all that I have, Mark.
Okay. So
I would just, if there was any closing statement for the commission, I would just say that the burden of showing mistake or error in zoning is to show both, one, the then existing facts and conditions that allegedly made the comprehensive zoning incorrect, which in this case would have been changed in 2020, and also the literal failure of the council to have considered those facts and conditions. And I'm stating, in my opinion, that we have not heard any of that tonight.
Is that your closing, Mr. Whittison?
That is my closing, Mr. Crawford.
Well, I want to give him another opportunity. We have other citizens that have a chance to speak this evening.
He's not closing here. He's just saying. that
Yeah,
Wilson
there are two attendees with their hands up. Do you want to take those at this time?
Yeah, let's take those at this time. I don't think Mr. Whittison should have closed out his.
He closed that. That's his
Okay.
end argument.
Too late for him now.
Anyway, yes, please, Miss. Go ahead, Mary, please.
The first individual with her hand up is Marie Valong. Marie, you should be able to speak. If not,
Can you hear?
yes,
Can you
now
hear
we can
me?
hear.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. My name is Marie V. Long. I'm at 400 West Street. I had a prepared statement, but much of what I planned on saying has been stated. I would just like to say that Mr. Whittison has presented kind of a good argument as far as the zoning issue. The surrounding area is commercial or B2, not R anything. And it seems kind of out of character to put an R4 or 3 in that area. Let's see. The units they're being sold as within walking distance of the town and Heron Park. And there are no sidewalks on 118 nor pedestrian crossroad. At any rate, mostly I think that there was no zoning mistake made, and that is where the commission really has to look. there's all kinds of reasons not to do this project. But the biggest one is that that's a commercial area. It's not a residential one. And that's all I have to say.
Okay,
you.
there's, sorry, there is another hand up. On here, it's only identified as Gina. When you speak, you will need to give your last name, please. And you
Hi.
should,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, it's Gina Valong, 174 Intrepid Lane, living in one of the notorious developments that Berlin has allowed. For so many reasons, I'm against this, but mainly location and the current zoning. I think we need to bring in industrial. We need to bring in something to support the current economy, not more high-end townhomes that are going to cause problems with where the traffic lies. I mean, there was a huge accident. It's still on Berlin's Facebook page where someone got killed. I know myself, when I drove from some clients' houses trying to get back over, it took me 25 minutes to cross that highway from 818 because it came at the prime time. School was letting out, but 25 minutes. That's insane. So just for that alone, with the commercial zoning being there, I don't think we need more expensive housing. I don't see where that's affordable at all. And I really don't think the townhome situation at 176 units is a wise decision. It's a burden on our fire department, police department, our infrastructure. I mean, Dave, who you need to hire to handle another 176 units to keep track of? I mean, it's just ludicrous. I don't see where it benefits the town. I understand that you quoted a $5 million revenue source to the town of Berlin, but that's the gross. I want to know what the adjusted net is after all the costs of applying for those families, their trash and everything else. So that's all I have to say. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. So Mary, is there anybody else this evening or?
No, there are no others with their hands raised, nor are there any questions.
Okay, well, I'd like to speak first if I
What about my
can.
closing?
Just, oh, you'll have an opportunity. I'd like to,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
if you'd like to go closing first, is that
No,
the most
no,
appropriate way to
no.
go?
I thought you were about to wrap up, so I just want to make sure I get my closing.
No, go ahead. Let's do your closing. And Mr. Whittison said he was finished with his, so go right ahead.
Okay. First, I'd like to address something that Ms. Valong just made a comment about, meaning the proximity of a residential neighborhood of this nature close to commercial. And the best example I can think of is the Riddle Farm, which I developed. And it's 1,000 acres. It's 650 residential units. It's 500 single family and 150 multifamily with 2 golf courses and marina right on Route 50, directly across from the most intense commercial zoning the county has, C3, where the Walmart, Home Depot, Ocean Landings 1, Ocean Landings 2, and Coastal Square are all approved. And that's just one of many examples. I could go to the South Gate and North Gate of Ocean Pines. I could go to West Ocean City, where you have residential neighborhoods in extremely close proximity to very intense commercial zoning, and they appear to be extremely compatible when done correctly. This is a situation clearly where, in my opinion, the Berlin Planning Commission was not made fully aware in 2020 of the volume of commercial zoning in close proximity to this property, most of which is on the north and south side of US Route 50 and the east and west side of 589, much of which, as I indicated, has been added since the most recent adoption of the comprehensive zoning map in the county, which was in 2009. And when the comprehensive land use plan was adopted in 2007, prior to the adoption of the comprehensive zoning map. At that time, the county concluded it had more commercial zoning than what it needed to accommodate the demands of the public for the next 10, 15 years. And had the Berlin Planning Commission, had you been made aware of the details on January 8th of 2020 of how much commercial zoning there was in close proximity that was not then and still now is not being utilized, I think it is a reasonable conclusion that the Planning Commission would not have found the need for this additional 25 acres of commercial land at that time and even now. Clearly, there is a demand now for residential development. That's no secret to anybody. And the standard before the board this evening, since I'm not proceeding on the basis of changing the character of the neighborhood, I'm based it upon mistake. And as Mr. Whittison indicated, one of the definitions of that is a mistaken facts or mistaken judgment. And we are of the opinion that, again, had the facts been presented differently on January 8, 2020, the Planning Commission likely would not have given a favorable recommendation for the B2 zoning, and the mayor and council would not have followed suit. So I believe we have met our burden this evening. With regard to Mr. Bunning, and I have the utmost respect for Mr. Bunning, and I always compliment Mr. Whittison. He does a great job in opposition. I think he's clearly wrong. I find it almost humorous that anybody, Mr. Bunning included, would find his operation to in any way be comparable to, as intense of, or more intense than the Ocean City Airport. Any of us that are familiar with both operations, I think, would draw the conclusion that the Ocean City Airport is a vastly busier operation than Mr. Bunning's operations will ever be. The amount of flight traffic in and out of the Ocean City Airport, which again includes single engine, twin engine, biplane, and Lear jets, creates much more activity, much more intensity, much more noise than Mr. Bunning's operation ever would. And yet some of the most desired lots in this county, residential lots and neighborhoods, are within yards of that airport, but clearly within a quarter of a mile, half a mile, 1 mile. And I'm confident in saying some of the most valuable residential properties in all of Worcester County are in extremely close proximity to that airport. So I find it a little difficult to accept Mr. Bunning's position in this case, especially in light of the fact when he got his approval, whether he knew it or not, this property was zoned R3. And as I indicated during our presentation, and I will reiterate now, should the planning commission wish to rezone this property for residential development, but for whatever reason not want to accept an R4 zoning designation, my client would agree to R3, so that is the same zoning that existed when Mr. Bunning had his airport approved. That's our presentation. That's my closing argument. I appreciate all of your time. And I also want to compliment Ms. Boland because she has done a fabulous job with this technical support. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, do any of the commissioners have any comments they would like to express right now?
We'll have to close the public hearing, Chris.
Okay. At this time, we're going to close the public hearing.
Chris.
Before you close it, Chris, Pete Cosby speaking. I
Yes,
need
sir.
to
Go right ahead.
again. I need to again reveal potential conflicts of interest. I have recently represented Chris Carbaugh in a business matter, and I have represented Phil Houck in issues related to the commercial property on the corner of this intersection. I don't believe that it doesn't affect my thinking in this case. But I wanted to give the attorneys an opportunity to express any objection they may have to me participating in the deliberation.
Mr. Cosby, if you are comfortable and don't believe those representations on your part will in any way create a bias one way or the other, I certainly don't have an objection, and I trust your judgment.
Thank you.
Mr. Widdowson, do you have any comments on it?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I also agree with Mr. Cropper. I practice law. We don't even want to tell me how many years with Mr. Cosby. And if he says that it's not going to affect him, I agree with that. I'll have no problem with him making a decision in this matter.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cassio?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Question for Mr. Carball. Chris, do you have a jurisdictional wetlands delineation for this project?
I do on the project, yes.
You do. Is that submitted in the file?
No, it's not. We were just at this concept level for the rezoning.
So have you seen the guidance maps, the wetlands guidance maps for this property?
I'm sure our office has reviewed those, yes.
And what did you think of those?
Well, I mean, we've worked with Environmental Resources, who's a dependable environmental consultant to work on the site, and we've relied on their feedback.
But did you yourself see the guidance map?
I don't recall specifically seeing that myself, no.
Okay,
But
well,
this is, I did not see on this parcel any wetland issues.
well, I can't turn my camera on. If I could, I would show you that guidance map. And I know that guidance maps aren't fact, they're simply guidance maps. And, oh, there we go. Can you see that?
It is very difficult to see, Mr. Cassio.
I know.
If
I
you-
know. See all that
Would you be
green?
would you be comfortable sharing your screen? If I gave you that permission? Is that something you would be able to do?
Mary, I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
Hey, Dave, is this something that should be wait after we close the public hearing, or is this for appropriate for now, or?
I would close the public hearing and let it be part of the commission's discussion.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
I'd
Let's
say
do
that
that.
about
I
half.
see Mr. Wilson, you have your hand up.
I've
Go ahead,
already
Mr. Cassio.
spoken. I should take it down. I apologize.
Okay, your hand's up. So anyway,
Chris?
let's, Ron, let's wait for your public comment.
Okay, sure.
Hello?
Close it here, close it.
Let's go ahead and that'd be appropriate time for that. Let's go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. And we'd like to have any comments from the commission. Mr. Cassidy, you're up. Sugar.
Go get something to drink, Mark. Chris, about half of that site is,
All right, we're back.
about
Sorry.
half of
Yes,
that
sir.
site.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, 1 second here. Let's make sure we close the public hearing. I'm sorry?
Dave, have we closed the public hearing?
Yeah, as soon as Chris declares it closed, it's closed. What happened there?
Easy.
All right, we're back. Hang on a second. Hey, that's a big picture of you. Anyway, is the public hearing closed?
You can't hear it.
Shit.
You said it was closed, so it's closed, Chris.
Okay, public hearing's closed. Ron, go ahead.
Chris,
Ron, can you hear me? Yes,
I can
go
hear you.
right
Can you hear
ahead.
me?
Yes,
Yeah.
go right
Chris,
ahead.
Mark.
Public hearing's closed. So I want to make sure that we establish that. So go ahead.
Chris and Mark, I know you, Mark.
Might be.
And choose. And when I look at this guidance map, about half wetlands, or it's not been determined to be wetlands yet, but the guidance map says it is. I think at this point, why are we wasting our time and your client's dollars if we don't know if this project can even be built?
Ron, we do believe it can be built. I believe the wetlands you might be referring to might be off-site in the wooded parcel to the west.
No, they're not.
Well, we've determined that there's not jurisdictional wetlands in that open field. There are some
Who has
ag
determined?
ditches that, is not an issue and is not jurisdictional that can be developed.
Who, as you say, who has determined that? Was it wetlands delineate consultant or just
Correct. We've worked with environmental resources.
determined that?
Yes. There is a small pond and a little bit of a
Have
ditch
they been out in the field?
that, may require an impact, but that is something that's permissible. And, we don't see any issue that would stop this site from being developed or be a substantial environmental impact, as noted by, also the state in their letter.
The state mentioned nothing about wetlands. It
Not
was about
wetlands, but,
endangered species.
also, the issue came up about, in the comp plan about, species on site and such, which we determined does not create an issue.
Right, well,
And
that doesn't have anything to do with wetlands.
Right. Well, yeah, I was, referring to wetlands as well. We do not believe there's an issue with wetlands that would prevent this site from being developed.
Okay. We'll get beyond that, and I think along with the letters that we got in our packet, the letters that were read from Dave today, the comments that I've heard from everyone that has spoken to me or I've spoken to regarding this project, clearly there's no benefit to the townsfolk to approve this project as proposed as residential. Quickly, the safety concerns at an intersection there. I travel at an intersection often, and it's just a mess already. It isn't going to get any better, and it's really dangerous now, and it's just going to get worse if we put 160 some units out there. This project does nothing for town. The only thing it could do is retire sewer debt by selling EDUs. I firmly believe that those EDUs should be saved for projects that are beneficial to town. Again, I nor anyone I've spoken to sees any benefit to the town. I understand where the property owner wants to try to make some money with this. I get that. I would too, but not under the conditions that the townspeople of Berlin are going to be burdened by this project simply because somebody thinks there was a mistake, which there's not a mistake, Mark. The fact that there's an abundance of commercial property on the Route 50 corridor really is not any reason why we should burden ourselves with this project. So on behalf of the people that I've spoken to and people that I represent in this community, this is just unlike anything that we want. We've seen enough, excuse me, Mark, with Oceans East. Comments all the time about that's enough of that stuff. This is more of it. And I don't want my head on a pike for voting yes for this. So I'm totally against this as everyone else that I've spoken with. So thanks.
Thank you.
Newt,
I guess I'll say my piece if you want me to. This is Pete.
Yeah, I will.
Am I on? I can't hear you.
I can hear you, Pete. Mr.
Yeah,
Cosby.
Pete, you're on.
All right, well, I'll say my piece. We rezoned all this land out here commercial, thinking we were gonna have some kind of a commercial campus of some type or technological thing, like we thought we were gonna have California come here and do computers or something. So we got all this commercial land. I don't like, Route 50 turning into a commercial corridor like going to Virginia Beach. What's happened between Berlin and Ocean City over my 40 years of driving back and forth to work is disappointing. Got a lot of commercial development all the way to Ocean City from Berlin. It's all going to be connected before you know it. I would love to see this property stay as a farm field and agricultural use. I would like to see development stop just like everybody else would. But the problem is we're in the fire. We have a piece of property zoned commercial. And so do I want to look at a shopping center like you see in Kent Island when you go up to the bridge, 10 miles, 15 miles of commercial property from before you even get on Route 50 across the bridge, or you get on 50 and you go, you make that turn going towards Kent Island, and from, you got the outlet shops and everything all the way to the bridge. Is that what we want to look like? I think our best shot at trying to preserve some appearance of agricultural or more rural use is to orient ourselves towards a residential use of this property rather than a commercial use. I don't want to see outlet shops out here. I don't want to see outlet shops on that little road going across, what, I don't know the name of the little road that's going to start to go into the intersection. But on the other hand, I don't want to see as intensive of a development as what the developer is proposing here. That's down the road. Once the rezoning's done, then we look at, okay, what do you want to build and how do you want to build it? I don't like a lot of things here. I don't like the access through the commercial property to get to that little road to get to Route 50. It's a lot of residential people driving through what's going to be a commercial complex to get to that little road, to get to 50, to get to what's going to be a stoplight. Whether the state likes it or not, we're going to get a stoplight there. I don't like putting a lot of residential development out here on this property without a sidewalk all the way from Route 50 into Berlin. I've said it before on the record, and I'll say it again now. I don't want to see anything happen until we get sidewalks going all the way into Berlin and make this property a true part of the town. And I don't want to see 360 townhomes out here. I'd rather see a lesser amount. But we can build a berm on Route 50. You can build, grow a pine forest, grow the usual vegetative shields to protect the appearance around Berlin of what's going on. The county comprehensive plan requires that we put residential uses close to existing residential centers. And unfortunately, Berlin is a residential center. I don't want to see Berlin grow either. I'd love to just say, stop. This is the way it is. But we got a piece of property here that is currently zoned commercial. We don't need the commercial property. I don't want to see commercial development there. And residential property is a way out. I am not concerned about the airport situation because we're going to require that disclosures be put into any documents that you're in an airport flight path. And if people buy their property on notice that they're in a commercial, in a flight path of airplanes, they don't have a case. So, we got to be realistic. We got to deal with what we have and do what we can to preserve what we've got. If we want to buy development rights, and I've said this the last time this case came up, and I'm saying it again now, if we want to buy the residential rights of developers, then put up the money. Let's start getting grant money or doing whatever we have to do to find the money to buy people's development rights. And I said it before and I'll say it again. My heart's going to break when the Abbott farm goes down, because that's just going to be another application for more residential development. And how are we going to stop it? You got to get serious about buying development rights. You can't just, you got a piece of ground here, somebody owns it, and they have a certain zoning, and they're entitled to something. What they're entitled to right now is to build commercial development. I don't want to see that there. That's my opinion. I would say rezone the property residential, and when the project comes up, lower the density. That's my opinion, guys. That's the best I can say. Thank you.
Anybody else have a comment, commissioners? Austin or Matt?
Yeah, yes, I have a comment. I would like to recognize, obviously, there is a inventory shortage of housing in our area. Of course, we all know that. I'm not so much in favor of the townhouse idea. If this was single family, that'd be way more appealing. But again, it's tough being on the other side of Route 50. There's sidewalks, access is hard. We have opportunities for infill in town, Berlin already, closer to town center. So I just, I also don't buy the airport argument either though. So I think that's laughable as well, as Mr. Cropper had stated. Ocean City Airport does 100 times the amount of activity that Bunting's will ever do. So that's an invalid argument. But my opinion, I'd rather see single families over there, if anything at all, at this time, for whatever that's worth. But at this time, how this is proposed, I'm not in favor of it.
Anybody else? Matt?
Yeah, I'll go.
Go ahead.
So I've been trying to come up with a couple of issues that I keep seeing, and I look at the financials, and a lot of times I mention the financials and the tax implication for the town, and I see that we have this great sheet that shows how much money is coming in, but it really is lacking on what the expected expenses are. In my mind, I expected when we got this form, there was going to be conversations to the fire department, to the police department, to the waste department, finding, a number or a ballpark range of what the additional expenses were going to be for these 176 townhouses. It's tough to look at saying, hey man, we're getting an extra $614,000 a year, but what's the cost? It was glossed over, which is always kind of unnerving because we're not getting the full picture of the potential expenses for this. The next issue I see with this is that I'm not a big fan of putting 176 townhouses in that tight density. I think with the price point that we're looking at for those townhouses, it's not the correct look for this town. I would like to see single family homes or a mixture like you see in Decatur Farms with a lower density. With that being said, as this is right now, I'm not for this project or this alteration of zoning.
Pete Cosby speaking one more time. Can we all remember? Can we all remember this? We're considering this. We are not approving a project. We are looking at whether we want to rezone this property. That's the issue. The issue is not whether this project is what we want to see. A lot of us don't want to see it, including me. But the question is it more beneficial for the town to rezone this residential or to leave it commercial? That's the question. Thank you.
Thanks. You have something to say, or?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I think Mr. Woodison made some compelling arguments, and I think the density is way too high for this over there, and there's no amenities. Where are these people going to recreate? Where are they going to go? It's just a lot. It's just too high a density for that project, and for that I can't vote for it.
But again, you're missing the point, Newt. The point is we're not voting on this project. A vote tonight,
Pete,
vote to change the zoning, not a vote to approve.
Right now, while we have the rezoning issue, we have the power. Once you
I can't hear you.
he knows how to done. He knows what to do right now. Right.
You're coming in and out. I can't hear you.
I say, if we rezone it to residential, then the PUD or to all kinds of other arguments. Right now, I think we should shut it down with the rezoning issue. It's been changed. We can't tailor a rezoning. We can't tailor these rezonings to every developer's whim. And I don't agree with it. And you know, one day it's this because they want that, and another day it's this because they need that. And it's been rezoned a couple times at the developer's whim. And I think we're right now we keep it commercial, and we don't need 176 townhouses over there. There's no amenities, no place for these people to recreate, no place for them to go. And I think it's just too much. If it was single family homes, I'm like Austin, I would look at it differently. But I just don't agree with what's going on with the project as it is proposed now.
Well, I don't either. I'm just saying as a qualitative matter that we're looking at a rezoning, not the approval of a specific project. I would rather see a moderate residential development here rather than a commercial sprawl, a shopping center, a series of shopping centers and commercial uses. That's what I'm talking about. I look at some residential project as preferable to a commercial sprawl. That's what I think people should be thinking about.
I don't.
If we leave it as commercial, then the next thing you might see is somebody coming in saying, okay, I want to build a shopping center here. Is that what we want to see there?
I agree with that use better than I do 176 townhouses crammed into 25 acres with, I don't know what the mathematical equation is on the number of people that would, you know, some are 3 bedrooms, I guess some are 2 bedrooms, but when you cram people into a postage stamp lot with a postage stamp living space and they got nothing to do and nowhere to go, then you got a problem. I'd rather see commercial development over there than I would that.
Yeah, but when they come with the residential project with this number of units, we simply say no.
No,
we're not going to do it.
When you open the door and rezone it some kind of residential, and he wants R3, you're going to have multifamily. You're shoving a 10 pounds of cow manure into a 5-pound bag.
But we still have approval authority and rejection authority.
I know what we got, but I've seen it done too many times. I've been on there probably 27, 29 years. I've seen it happen before.
All right. Well, I'm just trying to keep our eyes focused on the ball here. Do we want to see commercial or residential? That's my point.
Keep it commercial.
Well, my opinion is keeping it commercial. Mr. Bunting's airport, his business has been there since 1980, irregardless of the designation of the R3 back in whenever. He's every time something comes up over here, he has to hire an attorney, spend money. That's why he does not want to see this project there. And as far as my opinion goes, simple as that. He was there first. I'd like to call for a motion. Would anybody like to approve or recommend that we change the zoning as designated now to R4 or R3?
I move that we deny it. It's Ron. I move we deny it.
Would anybody like to second the motion of denial?
I second.
All in favor of denial, say aye.
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 Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, can we have an account by name, please? I'll start with Matt.
Aye,
I for
denying it.
opposed. Austin? Okay, thank you.
Deny.
Newt,
Deny.
Pete,
Grant.
Ron,
Grant, but to be specific, grant to R3.
okay. Ron? Ron, are you there?
Yeah, Chris, deny it,
Yes, sir. Deny?
deny,
Okay.
yes.
As chairman, I deny myself. Vote is 5-1 in denial to recommendation to the mayor and council for the change of zoning from, thank you,
R4.
yeah,
Commercial
No.
R4.
from whatever, the business to R4, is it? And
Correct.
okay, thank you. Anything else?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
Which one you didn't look? Comments from the commissioners?
yeah, comments from the commissioners?
Dave,
Yes, sir.
what do we hear from our buddy there on Franklin Avenue?
Not a thing. I still don't have a court date. I'll check into it tomorrow.
Well, I hate to be a pain in the butt, but if it'd been me, they'd had me in jail by now.
Well, that's probably true, yeah.
What you get for a bad
And
reputation, dude.
I've been tar and feathered by now. So please let us know a resolution of this at your earliest convenience.
Yes, sir.
Dave, do you have anything else for us, or?
Not that I have an exhibit for, but I had been contacted. You remember we saw a concept plan from the outfit called Becks and Docks to do a project over there on the east side of 113 on Franklin Avenue. Well, the Scanlon 1 acre parcel they came with the concept for, they still intend to lease that. But I think the development's going to be to the parcel to the east. They're looking at buying the parcel where there's a big warehouse building, a metal building. It's got a rusted roof, rusted walls, if you're familiar. The two buildings back
Yes.
there that hadn't been refurbished or rehabbed in that cannery project years back. So that would be where they would locate their lumber yard, and for the time being, there's a brick building in the middle there, use a portion of that for their offices. So we may see them come back for a site plan approval at the February Planning Commission meeting. I don't know. It's going to depend on their engineers and what they can get drawn up if they can make that time frame. That's the only thing really new I have.
Okay. See, Ron, you have your hand up?
Who?
Yeah, here. So Ron, do you have your hand up? You still there?
I'm here, Dave. Where are we on Dunkin'?
Where are we on what?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Can you understand them? I can't.
I think he's asking about Dunkin' Donuts with the traffic issue.
I haven't spoken to the plaza owner any further on that since the last meeting.
Yeah, I went there this morning. It's still pretty bad.
Yeah, like that most school days, it's like that, yeah.
7:30 to 7:45 is the, that's your witching hour.
I'll reach out to him again. I hadn't reached out to him. I know he was out of town for part of the holidays, but I'll reach out to him.
So Brian, you have your hand up again.
That's all I have.
Okay,
Dave,
well, if Mary's still here.
Dunkin' Donuts,
Oh.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Yeah, that's a health and
Well,
safety.
well, you can
that's
still
all
hear
of
me.
us, mayor and
I thank
council,
you for
planning,
everything
health and
tonight. It was
safety
great,
issue,
great
something's gonna
job.
happen there, and
I know this is tough. It has to be.
That's fine. Thank you.
I don't think we need you anymore longer, but thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I don't make the motion.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry. I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll make,
Or I'll
all
second
right,
Matt's.
smart asses. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Get rid of me next month. Goodbye. All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
aye.
All right, you're on your own. Thank you.
Good.
All right.